Islands of Adventure is a world-class theme park enjoyed by many, including myself. From its incredible rides to its immersive theming, it's truly an amazing park. However, certain sections of the park leave a little to be desired. From underwhelming theming to a lack of attractions altogether, some areas could use some freshening up. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing my ideas for potential re-themes of these sections. Before we begin, let's set up some ground rules. Rule number 1, all IPs must be acquirable by Universal. This simply means that no brands or franchises can be used that do not fall under Universal's acquisitions. I'll be stretching this rule out a little, but most themes are plausible for Universal to own or acquire. Rule number 2, all themes must be based off literature. Not many are aware, but every current section in Islands of Adventure is based off of literature in some way, shape, or form, so I'll be adhering to this as well. I would also like to warn you that while I tried to keep these pretty plausible, these are all franchises that I'm personally interested in, but I still tried to keep things as logical as I could. There will also be some photoshopped images I made to help visualize my concepts. Most of these will look pretty rough, but they're just to give you a rough idea of what these could look like. I also need to disclaim that all of these are just ideas I came up with, and are in no way coming to the parks. So without further ado, let's head to the Lost Continent. The Lost Continent is an area that opened with the park, originally containing 2, arguably 3, rides, a stage show, and a walkthrough experience. Over time, the area has slowly had elements of it taken away, starting with Hogwarts being built where the land's coasters are, acquiring them in the process. The stage show was closed next, due to worries that Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, gosh that is a long title, would cause too much noise near the show. And just recently, Poseidon's Fury abruptly closed, leaving the area with no attractions. A Legend of Zelda re-theme of the area has been all but confirmed to be coming to the Lost Continent, but it's still fun to come up with ideas of my own. With that, I propose a re-theme to this area called Dune, Deserts of Arrakis. Dune is an amazing franchise that would suit this land very well. Its immersive world and success at the box office goes to show that an area themed to Dune could be very profitable to Universal. It's also owned by Warner Brothers, which already has lands in Universal themed to their IPs, and is based off of books. I'm not sure what this land would look like, though something in the vein of these images from the movies would be incredible. As far as rides go, I believe a Star Tours style attraction having you ride inside an ornithopter in the place of Poseidon's Fury, Escape from the Lost City, would work quite well. I don't know what would happen in the ride, but perhaps you would start out transporting spice, only to have your vehicle hijacked by the Fremen. I'm unsure what would happen from there, but the climax of the ride would have you come face to face with Shai Hulud. That's right, I know the name of the worm. Fucking deal with it. Overall, Dune would be a very fitting and well-received addition to the park. Shortly before the making of this video, my brother had the idea of a God of War re-theme of the Lost Continent. With the Lost Continent being themed to ancient mythology, very little would have to be done to make this area work. However, I think that Toon Lagoon would be a much better fit for this theme. With its pre-existing water rides, I think this would be a perfect fit for this area. This is God of War, Midgard. The environments of God of War would make for a beautiful and immersive environment for this area, and Universal recently made a haunted house based on The Last of Us, meaning that they likely already have connections with Sony Interactive. While God of War isn't directly based off a book, it does take inspiration from ancient mythology, which is recorded in literature. I'm unsure what a re-theme of Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls would entail, but you could easily take from many of the game's locations for the ride. Locations such as the Lake of Nine, the Wildwoods, and the Mountain would all be great contenders. Similar to the dragon sculpture in Diagon Alley that breathes fire about every 15 minutes, you could have an animatronic of the world serpent above the ride that awakens and speaks with its bellowing voice every 15 minutes as well. A re-theme for Popeye and Bluto's bilge rat barges could be themed to Brock and Sindri, as the chaotic nature of the two would fit this equally chaotic ride very well. Due to the rights of Marvel being acquired by Disney, Marvel Superhero Island will likely have to be rethemed one day. No matter what they retheme the area to, and no matter how well they do it, it's going to hurt having to lose the current theme. Due to this, I wanted to handle this idea delicately, and try to come up with an idea that would make the pain of losing this area less painful. I decided to come up with 2 rethemes of this area, as it would make a good ending for this video, and I couldn't decide between one of these ideas, as both of them would be near perfect replacements. A great way to please part guests would be to theme this area to a theme that people have been wanting a land of for decades, especially since one of its only rides' closure in 2022. With that, I welcome you to Shrek's Fairy Tale Island. Now, quick disclaimer, I came up with this idea before Universal announced DreamWorks Land at Universal Studios, and that will have a small Shrek-themed area, so sorry in advance. Now, hold on a second. A Shrek retheme of Marvel Superhero Island? Am I out of my mind? Well, I thought of the idea as somewhat of a joke in my mind, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized how well it would work. Shrek is not only directly based off a book, but many of the characters also come from classic fairy tale literature. So let's start off with The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, which would be renamed to Shrek's Fairy Tale Adventure. By the way, this section is going to be discussing spoilers for Shrek, so skip to this timestamp if you'd like to avoid them. Now, while Universal could completely change the layout of this ride, I don't have the knowledge, nor the patience, to do that, so I'm going to stick with the original ride's layout. The queue would be themed to the Enchanted Forest, with projections of fireflies as well as ogre hunters preparing to hunt Shrek. The ride would follow a very similar structure to the movie, and start with the screen where the spider signal is currently located, showing ogre hunters walking towards Shrek's swamp. The ride would then pull into Shrek's swamp, with many fairy tale creatures roaming around. He would then utter his infamous line, "What are you doing in my swamp?" He would then be informed that Lord Farquaad sent them here. The next scene would take place in Duloc, and show Shrek discussing the deed to his swamp with Lord Farquaad. The next 2 scenes will be a fight scene between Shrek and Lord Farquaad's knights, likely having Shrek slam the knights into your car for added immersion. Then, the tunnel that you go through on the original ride will be replaced with brick walls, and have audio of the knights fighting all around you as you spin. The next screen would have you crossing the bridge to enter Fiona's castle. After entering the castle, you'd hear the dragon in the near distance, also seeing a faint orange glow. The next scene would have you come face to face with the dragon, as she breaks through a brick wall, similar to the original part in the ride this is replacing. This would also allow for the heat effect from the original scene to be reused. The next scene would have Dragon chasing after you as you try to escape with Fiona. This would also allow the fire from the original ride to be kept as Dragon's fire breath. After escaping, Fiona would then be kidnapped by Lord Farquaad. While this does deviate from the original movie where Fiona willingly goes with Farquaad, I felt that this needed to be changed to better fit the context of the ride. Donkey would then let you hitch a ride on Dragon, having you feel like you're ascending during the same part that you do on the original ride. The next screens would then have you flying through the air on Dragon, before diving down and crashing Fiona and Farquaad's wedding. Shrek would then confess his love for Fiona, and Dragon would then eat Farquaad. The final scene would take place at Shrek's swamp, where Shrek and Fiona would then get married. Next up is a retheme of Doctor Doom's Fearfall, which I'm calling Lord Farquaad's Duloc Drop. The plot for this ride would be that you are being sent to Lord Farquaad's dungeon to be executed. In the queue, where the Doombots currently are, I will put an animatronic of the one and only Thelonious. This would also be a great place to repurpose the 3 little pigs from Shrek 3D. The giant screen located in the queue could be rethemed to the Magic Mirror. The ride would start off with you being slightly raised up to a screen showing Thelonious operating the ride. He would probably end up messing something up with the ride's controls, and the ride would blast off as a result. The ride would then slowly lower back to the ground, showing Lord Farquaad excitedly waiting to see the guests gone from the execution, only to find out that Thelonious messed it up. As for a retheme of Stormforce Accelatron, Dragon and Donkey would be very good contenders. The ride could be called Dragon and Donkey's Disco Inferno and have riders spin to the aforementioned song. With the massive success of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, you could also retheme this ride to him and have riders spin to Fearless Hero from the movie.
Who's brave and ready for trouble? Ha ha! Who's so unbelievably humble?
Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the retheme of The Incredible Hulk. This is Shrek's Swamp Rush. You would have to do very little to retheme this ride. Outside of the ride would be a statue of Shrek, reminiscent of the current one of the Hulk. The tunnel that the ride launches out of could be replaced with a log to better fit the swamp theming of this ride. The Incredible Hulk is known for its amazing onboard score, which makes for a much more enjoyable ride experience. While thinking of this, I realized the perfect substitution for it. It would be easier to show you what I did with this concept rather than try to explain it. So here it is.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play.
It's perfect. Replacing the ride's score with All-Star and having Shrek roar as the ride blasts off just makes too much sense. Near the end of the ride, you could also have Shrek's iconic outhouse, as well as other swamp theming. Now, most of us could agree that the most tragic loss of this area getting rethemed would be The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. While the other rides would stay similarly good when rethemed, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man is its theming. Now, while Disney owns the rights to Marvel, they don't own the rights to Spider-Man. Sony does. Universal has also partnered with Sony in the past, as we previously discussed. So, what if we kept the character of Spider-Man, but cut the rest of the Marvel characters? What I would do is theme this area to a Spider-Man franchise that would make for a world-class section, would draw tons of people to the park, and be based off of what I consider to be the greatest movie ever made. I introduce you to Marvel Spider-Verse Island. I don't even think I need to explain why this retheme would be so amazing. The franchise has seen immense success, and is also based off of comic books, similar to Marvel's Superhero Island. Besides, if my brother gets a land theme to his favorite IP, then I get one too! They also decided to retheme this area to Into the Spider-Verse and not Across the Spider-Verse, as I thought it would be a better fit for the area, especially with its greater amount of villains. We'll start off with a retheme of The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, titled Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse: The Ride. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but Islands of Adventure is no stranger to those. Here's a rough idea for what the entrance could look like. The ride would follow a very similar structure to the original ride, while incorporating elements from the movie. I'm also going to be discussing some spoilers for Into the Spider-Verse as well, so if you haven't seen the movie, skip to this timestamp. The queue could take place within the Brooklyn subway systems, likely having you at one point enter the room with Miles' No Expectations graffiti. In this room could also be the dead body of the Alchemax 42 spider, with projection mapping effects to cause the room to appear to glitch. I'm unsure what the reason would be for boarding the cars, but perhaps it could have a similar reason to the original ride. As the ride starts, you'll pull out of the station and see this bridge from the original ride. Instead of Spider-Man's shadow, like the original ride, a screen would show Miles stuck to the wall, wondering how he's doing so, just like in the movie. Though he probably wouldn't be shirtless this time. Where the spider signal can be seen on the original ride would be an electronic billboard proclaiming that Spider-Man has died, just like this one in the movie. You would then pull into the room where you first see Spider-Man in the original. You would see a building in the distance, and strange balls of light shoot out of the top of it, causing the power to go out. Peter B. Parker would then land on this railing as seen in the original ride, only to be sprung up by it and flung onto your vehicle. He would then ask where he is, and likely have a line remarking the guest's shades as a nod to the original ride, before web-slinging out of frame. You would then pull into a warehouse, similar to the original ride, where all 4 of the movie's side villains will be seen. They'll notice you as you transition to the next screen. Finding a replacement for Electro for this scene was a challenge, but I think Scorpion would work quite well. He could sting your car, causing it to go haywire, similar to how Electro uses a power cable to shock the car in the original ride. Scream was also difficult to substitute, but I think Tombstone would work well here. Specifically, a similar scenario to the original ride could play out, by Doc Ock grabbing Tombstone and saying, "Out of the way, them high!" Heck, this practically happens in the movie. This wall right here could have bullet holes appear as Tombstone attempts to shoot you from behind. This would then transition to this tunnel, which would be rethemed to look like a train tunnel. Similar spinning motions to the original ride would follow, but with the light overhead getting brighter and a train horn getting louder to simulate a train approaching. You would then be in the secret subway room from the movie, before the Prowler finds you and begins chasing you down. After that, a near exact version of the Doc Ock scene from the original ride would play out. Then, you would approach this tunnel in the original ride, which would act as the secret entrance to the Collider from the movie. Now inside the Collider, Green Goblin and the Prowler chase you down. Green Goblin will throw an explosive, just like in the original ride, and cause a flame effect to happen. You would then pull into this screen, in which Kingpin would give the command for the Collider to be activated. The screen would simulate rising just like the original ride, but use scaffolding as a lowering facade for the screen, instead of a building. From this point, Peter B. would try to insert the Goober into the Collider, but Doc Ock would stop him and throw you and Miles into this train from the movie. It's this next screen where Miles and Kingpin would battle, with Kingpin eventually smashing you and Miles out of the train. The second to last screen would show Miles managing to get the Goober into the Collider, stabilizing the Collider and gravity, causing you to fall. Miles would catch you with his webs just before you hit the ground, just like in the original ride. The final scene will show Miles thanking the guests for staying alive, as all the other spider people say their goodbyes before stepping into the Collider. All as Sunflower by Post Malone and Sway Lee is playing. Miles would then swing out of frame, and you would pull into the unloading dock. Where J. Jonah Jameson can be seen floating on the original ride would be replaced with Miles in his bedroom with a portal above his bed. It's also worth noting that all of the spider people from the original movie will frequently show up during the ride to fight off the villains. I just couldn't come up with a meaningful order to mention them in. This would also solve what is, in my opinion, one of the original ride's biggest problems. The original ride has a tendency to put you in inescapable situations and solve them by just throwing the villains backwards for no apparent reason. By having all the spider people in the ride, you could show them fighting off the villains as you escape, solving this minor flaw. As this is my favorite movie, and thing, of all time, I tried really hard to capture the movie and combine it with the ride, so I hope I did the movie justice. Now, Doctor Doom's Fearfall is another one that would be very easy to retheme. Tell me, what Spider-Verse villain has a green and purple color scheme, a sharp metal aesthetic, and ambience that can strike the fear of God into anyone?
You already know who it is.
Now, I know that the Prowler doesn't directly have green in the movie, but he did in most of his other iterations, but the green is still referenced thoroughly. Gosh, I'm glad they scrapped this design. I don't even need to change the Fearfall part of the title, it just works too perfectly. I'm not sure what the plot of this ride would be, but you could very easily reuse the Fear Fuel idea. The ride itself would be nearly identical, but using the Prowler's theme before the launch. Stormforce Accelatron would also be pretty easy to retheme. I'd call it Multiverse Mayhem. The ride would be themed to the 4 main side characters of the movie, those being Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, Penny Parker, and SPDR. The outside of the ride would have a few color changes and statues of the characters atop the building. Due to the ride having 3 cars per wheel, each of them would have a different theme. One would resemble SPDR, with a high-tech and futuristic design. Another would be themed to Spider-Man Noir, likely sporting a 1940s car aesthetic. And the third would be themed to Spider-Ham. It's a little harder to theme a car to him, but I think a Looney Tunes explosive style car could work. Now, for the final ride of the video, may I present to you Alchemax Super Collider. Outside the ride could potentially be a statue of Kingpin where the Hulk one currently stands, though this might be a little too extra. The plot of this ride would likely be similar to Avatar Flight of Passage, involving you being presented the opportunity to go inside the Collider and briefly become a version of yourself from another dimension, one where you are a spider person. The queue could have Dr. Olivia explain this to you. While the inside of the tunnel already looks pretty reminiscent of the Collider, I think we can do better. I would cover the whole inside of the tunnel with a cylindrical screen, as well as putting an opening door at the end of the tunnel that will also act as a screen. On the screens, I would use forced perspective squinching to make the tunnel look as large as the Collider. To the left, you'd be able to see Kingpin in the control room. He'd give the command to turn it on, and the screens would become a colorful array of particles, similar to the movie. The door would then open, and you would be launched out of the tunnel. The score would likely be something along the lines of this song from the movie. Though the movie version of What's Up Danger would also work.
Can't stop me now. Travel 200 miles, I'm knocking at your door. And I don't really care if you ain't no wrong. Come on, what's up, danger? Don't be a stranger. I'm right here.
Easily the coolest part of this ride would be at night, where every time the train launches out of the Collider, all the lights in the area go out, and projections are used to make it appear that the land is glitching out, before quickly going back to normal. In conclusion, I'd truly love to see all of these in the park, but if by some miracle Universal is watching this video, please do the Spider-Verse one. I will give you anything! Anyways, thanks for watching. See ya.